Welcome back, everybody, to another highlight episode on Carsncrypto with your guy from the sky. It's me, it's Sam. Welcome back and thank you for being here as always. Your comments and your chat interaction is greatly appreciated, so keep up the good work. In today's highlight episode, we went to Silverstone, then we went to Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, and finally ended up in Russia. But on this episode, we're going to shake it up a little bit. We're going to start with the good, the bad, and the ugly. So without further ado, let's skip to the good bit.
The good. And the ugly. First up, it was Silverstone, a track that we feel really confident with. However, chat always comes in with the setup.
Dirk Silver Box. Thank you, my friend.
Here within the Bitstocks office, Silverstone is our go-to track. So in terms of track acclimatization, we didn't really need too much of it. So practice was going to be fairly short and sweet. I really enjoy Silverstone, so much so that I did a 1:27.5. In the multiplayer car. This was pretty impressive, a really quick time.
Oh, 1:27.5. Yes.
Full of confidence, we headed into qualifying. Typical British weather, it was raining. However, we did have a dry race, so it was a matter of just trying to get up the positions. Heading around the last corner, we go over the line, and we're currently sitting in P2, which is a good position. However, we started to fall down the pack, so I needed to go back out again. At P11, we pushed, increased our time, and came 9th. Not the best, but I'm not used to driving in the wet. Sunny Silverstone, it's race day. However, I forgot I had a grid penalty, so I wasn't 9th, I was 19th. With a lot of catching up to do, I was still feeling confident.
Oh my gosh.
And I feel that we could actually pull something out the bag in this race. It was all down to strategies. Lights are out and away we go. I get a terrible start. I really wasn't paying enough attention. I get overtaken twice. Knowing that it's a fast turn on the first corner, I go on the inside. However, the AI brakes and I make a little bit of contact, but I keep the car fairly straight on the road. And at this point, I probably should have restarted, but no, I wanted the challenge. P22, I'm still going for it. Pushing forward by lap 3, I already catch my teammate, little bit of contact, but let's not worry about that.
All right, don't worry about him.
As I mentioned at the start, it was about strategy. I needed to overtake Latifi, then push, and just sit behind the next two. However, I overcooked it, and at that point, I decided to go into the pits early. We had a lot of work to do. 2.9 second pit stop, heading back out, P21, it's race time. Heading into lap 9, we overtake a couple of people who decided to pit. We push and we gain on Russell. Heading down the back straight through the DRS zone, easy pass on the inside. Head into the long left-hander, nice and calmly. Perfect, P18. Who's next? Continuing to push, lap 11. We catch up with the pack. Right on the back of Raikkonen. Again, same spot, DRS zone, activated. Giving me a little bit of competition. You can see him just on the right-hand side. However, I brake a little bit later and I'm sweeping around the corner. Again, fairly clean, fairly easy pass. Next up was Grosjean, heading around the corner.
Seriously, that overtake there.
At what point could we take him? Continuing to push, we get some news from Jeff.
You've lost access to one of the gears. We've lost one of the gears due to a fault.
I've lost 5th gear.
Back straight again, DRS activated. Coming up the back of Grosjean, braking late, diving inside, no contact made. Squeezing in.
I've got no gear.
Another clean overtake. Sweeping round, thinking I could take Leclerc, but no. Final lap, lap 13. Down the back straight, DRS activated. Going past Leclerc, diving in. Clean, no contact made. Can we take another position? Sitting in his slipstream, I activate my ERS. We're going for the overtake, we're gonna do it. Yes, what an overtake, nice pass. P14. At that point, the gap was too big. Heading over the line.
Best I could have done.
Actually, 14th was a pretty good result. Next up, Hungary. Same as always, track acclimatization. Not a track I've raced on before, but willing to learn. Practice, practice, practice.
Mix 5.
Once again, you guessed it, chat's coming through and providing me with a setup. So with a couple of hours of practice, it was time to head into qualification. Couple of times round, I'm sitting in P12. Final push across the line, we're up on our delta. Where's it gonna finish? P7. So with no penalties in this race, it was time to start the formation lap. P7 gives us a real good opportunity to get into the higher points.
But we need to run the tyres properly now.
Sitting at the race start, waiting for the lights. Away we go. Again, slightly slower off the mark, but we've gained traction. Pushing up, we're still holding P7. First corner, very busy, so we decide to go up on the outside. Perez, yes, squeezed past him, gained a position, P6. From there on out, it was plain sailing, not much to report. Fairly routine pit stop, 3-second change. Coming out of the pits, we're sitting at P14.
Hard race.
Quietly confident, I think we can gain those places back. By the end of lap 8, we undercut all of the remaining people that went into the pits. Gaining positions, we're already back up to P9. Nothing further to report. So by the 18th and final lap, coming round the last corner, we're still sitting in P9, with Norris half a second behind me, we'd got this in the bag. Again,
Oh, man,
a fairly
P9.
decent result. Considering the fact that we've upped the AI, I'm happy with that.
That'll do. Take that. I'll take P9.
It was time for Belgium, also known as Spa. Despite being familiar with it, we still do a track acclimatization. After a shorter practice session, we headed out to qualifying. Confident we could achieve good things here, I went from P19 to P1, but that wasn't enough. I wanted to improve on our time. So we went back out again, and we came across the line with the fastest lap of a 1:45.012. We'll take that.
1:45.02.
So heading into race day, we're at the front of the grid. Formation lap was key here to get the tyres to temperature so we could get the best start possible. Race start, concentrate, get round that first corner, it's critically important.
Something's wrong with the wheel.
Lights out and we're off. So far so good, good traction. Lewis isn't coming up on my outside. We've got this in the bag. First corner, brake, turn in.
I'm pinned. I can't get round the corner.
Yeah. Not quite sure what happened really. However, what I do realise is we're now in P11. At this point, should I have restarted? Nah. Again, it's a track that I like, a track that I'm confident with, so let's push. Before we'd even got halfway through lap 1, I'm already gaining on the pack. Ocon, See you later. Lap 2, keeping the momentum. Here's Gasly, coming up on the inside, hard brake, slight contact with Verstappen, but we made it. P8, fastest lap set by me. Diving on the inside, there goes Leclerc. Slight contact made, but we push through, push forward, and yes, we do it. Come on, P6. At this point, chat was telling me to box. 40% wear on my tyres, enough was enough. Heading into the pits with P6, confidence was high. I had taken a little bit of damage because they changed the nose cone. So with a 6.3 second pit stop, slightly slower, it put me back out in P18. Heading down the back straight, Russell was in my sights. Knowing he was going to brake early, I brake late and dive on the inside and a fairly clean overtake. Get in. Who's next? Lap 6, we overtake 2 in the pits. P15 chasing down the pack, catching up with Grosjean and Giovinazzi. What can we do here? Knowing they're going to brake, I dive on the inside. Can we push past? No. Patience. Prime example of where I make my own mistakes. That little bit of contact had cost me the 2 places that I'd worked so hard for, but not deterring me, we continued to carry on and push. Luckily, we pitted early enough, so going over the line after lap 7 to 8, we overtake a few people in the pits. Frustratingly, if I hadn't made that contact, we definitely would be in a high position. From there on out, it was a pretty plain race. I managed to stay consistent. Lewis crashed out, so second to last corner, over the checkered flag. P8, again, not too bad. I'll take that. So that was a good point to finish day 1. To be fair, a lot of solid races. Thursday comes around, and something that I've never had happen to me before. We got raided.
Dirk is coming in.
What's this? What the? Oh, what's going on? I can't even read chat that quick. Let's kick this off.
So this guy goes by the name of Thomb. Yes, I know, it has an H and a B in it, but he prefers it to be Tom with an H. Tom, thank you for bringing your viewers in. It really boosted my confidence and set us up perfectly for the second day.
Right, more questions. Keep them coming.
Full of energy, we headed over to Italy. However, it was going to be a wet race. Dirk, my hero, my saviour, comes in with another setup perfectly catered for, let's say, damp conditions.
Italy, moist. No one likes the word moist.
So frustratingly, all the practice was going to be in the dry. However, we still went out and learnt the track with track acclimatisation and lots of practice. I was really struggling with the first corner, so chat told me that I need to take inspiration from Daniel Beresnay. Now, if you've not seen Daniel Beresnay, I'm surprised his pedals haven't broken. So me being me, I thought I'd make a joke of it. I ended up hurting my leg.
Oh, that hurt my leg.
After a couple of hours of practicing, it was time for qualifying. But let's not forget, the race was in the wet. With a packed chat room, they were begging to be entertained. So I pulled out one of my best numbers.
Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say.
After that embarrassing moment, it was time for qualifying, and I got roasted.
Might be too old for it. We're no longer friends.
Currently sitting in P21, we needed to improve, we needed to get better. By the time that qualifying was over, you could tell the rain was coming. However, we crossed the line in P2. Despite the face, that's actually a good result. So formation lap, starting P2, it was bucketing down.
Whoa, that's slippy, dippy.
I'm not familiar with driving in the wet, so this was certainly going to be a challenging race. Start of the race, lights out and away we go. Fairly decent traction, Bottas on our outside, making sure that we tried to maintain that line, but as you can see, visibility was absolutely awful. We're being overtaken, but I wanted to just preserve the car, didn't want any damage. Coming up to the first corner, braking, trying not to make contact, but it was made. Unsure as to what was going on. Yellow flags, keeping pushing. We're then fighting with Verstappen, wheel to wheel, didn't want to give up the position. ERS is activated, P5. This is going to be a long race.
Stop hitting me.
Continuing to maintain position, by lap 8, the weather had subsided just a little bit. Then I went and set the fastest lap.
Oh, fastest lap.
So holding P5, down the final straight, I was incredibly happy with that result. The first time I'd properly driven in the wet. Okay, there was a few mistakes as always. However, we are getting better. Next up was Singapore. First things first, change the car setup. Thanks again, Dirk.
All right.
I've never raced on Singapore before, so I was keen to do the track acclimatization and lots of practice. Despite this, I really wasn't enjoying it.
I'm not gonna lie, this track is stressing me out. It's too many corners, I can't remember it.
Even after a couple of hours of practicing, I was still struggling to get to grips with Singapore. In fact, so much so, I'd prefer to race on Monaco. Despite this, we headed out to qualifying. We were starting off in P19 and we needed to set a quicker time, but I kept making mistakes.
That just sums it up.
With 3 minutes of qualifying left, we head over the line, improving on our time, but still qualifying in P19. It was time for the race. As always, heading out to the formation lap.
We can only but improve on 19.
Lights out and away we go.
Good traction off the start. Or not.
Fairly decent traction, but Latifi and Magnussen get really good traction and begin to pull away. Despite that, I'm going up on the inside. I ride the curb, pushing through, didn't want to make contact, want to preserve the car. P18, let's continue from here.
Lost the power on the turbo. I guarantee you I'm not going to make the end of this race.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums.
The engine's going to blow.
Couple of laps later, lap 5, I head into the pits.
It didn't.
Incredibly quick pit stop, 2.2 seconds. However, I'm still P21. Albon didn't finish. Dead last. After this point, it was just a matter of being consistent, and by lap 13, we'd overtaken some people in the pits, P18, and we're catching Magnussen. So much so that it breaks early and we dive on the inside, and it turns out to be a fairly easy pass. P17, slightly surprised. Continuing to push, by lap 15 of 15, Magnussen gives me a slight tap from behind, pushing me wide. I wasn't having any of that, so I decided to send it on the inside. He braked very late and I braked even later, so much so that he then crashed into me, forced me around the corner. I got a slight warning, but I held 17 and across the line. Slightly disappointed, but on a track that I really didn't like, it wasn't that bad. Turns out there was a penalty ahead, so I actually finished 16th. Even better. So for the last race, it was time to head to Russia. Again, not a track I'm familiar with, so I headed out straight away for the track acclimatization.
All right, here we go. Let's see what we can do.
Practice, practice, practice.
Missed that.
This time Alpha came to the forefront and gave me a setup which, to be fair, really suited my driving style. So much so that Russia is now one of my favourite tracks. After the practice, we headed out to qualifying. Starting in P19, I was quietly confident. Taking the pole out on the last corner, I set the fastest lap of a 1:33.7. P1. What a difference to Singapore.
Boom. Ding, 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 ding.
Or so I thought. Pipped again, this time by Bottas. Really? 0.005 seconds? Face says it all.
Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Despite this though, we mustn't forget we had a 10-place grid penalty for changing some components. Well, it seems like the 10-place grid penalty was actually 15, so I was even further back. But I was confident with this track. P17, waiting for the start. Lights out and away we go, fairly decent traction. Everybody seems to be deep on the inside, so I'm going to go around the outside. Squeezing past. Oh, we nearly make contact. I really didn't want to do any damage to my car here. Being sensible. Late on the brakes, just avoiding Kvyat. Diving around the outside, we're in P13, pushing. This is going to be good. Keeping the momentum going. We're right up on Stroll down the long back straight, knowing that we've got a tight right-hand corner. He's wiggling right, I'm going left, trying to swing around the outside. I brake late, pushing it through, know that the next corner's on the inside to the left, and we make it. We push through, and despite that, he tries to come back, so I brake even later, and yes, we made a successful pass. P10, let's go. Continuing to push, now was a good time to pit. Swapping to the medium tyre, nice and quick, 2.6 seconds, no damage taken. That's why the start was so key. However, we are P22. We had a lot of work to do, but we went with such an early pit stop that if we had some really good laps now, we were going to be able to undercut. And we did exactly that. By lap 8, we're P19, and we suddenly meet Perez. He comes out of the pit lane, but we continue the speed into the corner, P18. Let's keep going. Who's next? Lap 8, coming up to the last corner, right on the backside of Latifi. We activate our DRS. Look at the positions we're gaining from everybody in the pits. Continuing that, I go around the outside just like I did on lap 1. Easy overtake. Same again, lap 10, everybody's in the pits, climbing positions. P7, let's go. Continuing consistency, by the 13th and final lap, we'd gained a couple more places at P5, and I decided to send it. We were going to take Lewis no matter what. With only a few corners left, can we get a podium? Second to last corner, taking it slightly wide. Gonna go for a cheeky move. I pushed too hard and yeah, we crashed over the finish line. But I'll take 4th. Brilliant result. Get in. Not only that, driver of the day. What a way to finish the stream.
Biggest thank you of all. Yeah, you've heard it once, you've heard it 1,000 times, obviously to Bitstock's Gravity for being our primary sponsor of our channel. We couldn't give you this content, we couldn't give you the YouTubes, and we couldn't give you the epic racing that we've had today without them. So if you are interested in Bitcoin, of course, sign up to Gravity, our Bitcoin ecosystem, and you will need it for future events. I hinted on it today, if you'd noticed. It's vital. It's vital. We're going to be having a lot of fun when this whole Christmas is over and done with, and next year 2021 we're going to go out with a bang. It is going to be awesome. So without further ado, thank you. We'll go.